And now, without further ado, let me welcome our first guest, who is Professor Dr. Karl W. Kratky, who will be joining us online. Can you hear us, Doctor?
Yes, it's okay.
Please, your presentation.
Yes, I do. Good morning, dear colleagues. I will speak about the relationship between orthodox and complementary medicine and how it is changing now. A short historical sketch about the traditional medicine systems over the thousands of years. The European origin is due to the ancient Greeks, and this later called humoral pathology was transferred in via the Greco-Arab medicine to Asia, to India and Pakistan. It's Unani, which is now still done there, and in the traditional Persian medicine, which is also active there. In Europe, it was replaced quite late, we will come to that later, by the cellular pathology, and this turned into the orthodox medicine. But since about 2000, there's a revival of the European medicine, which is now called traditional European medicine, and this is an interesting development. The Asian origin, the Chinese and the Indian medicine systems are also about as old as our European system, a little bit more than 2000 years. We have scriptures. And the Tibetan medicine is a little bit different. It is not original, so to speak, but the synthesis of all the other medicine systems. About 1,000 years ago, this was done. In China, there was in the 60s a revival of the Chinese medicine, which was then called traditional Chinese medicine and transferred to Europe and the USA. What is characteristic for complementary medicine systems is a kind of holistic approach that the individual patient is treated. In practice, this transforms a little bit into a small number of types in connection with the elements. We know maybe the Greek 4 temperaments, which are such types. And the treatment of patients is according not just only to the symptoms, but also to their type. This is a book of mine, first in German, then in English, where one can look that up in more detail. Now, what happened in Europe, the early modern period, it was the rise of natural sciences. The success was very large in connection with astronomy, astrophysics, and the natural science really became more and more important. And the question was, is it maybe a new a model for a new kind of Western medicine? Characteristic is the objectivity, universal laws, simplified experiments. One did avoid disturbing influences as much as possible because this was too complex. Reality was too complex, but it was interesting that it was successful anyway, this kind of simplification. So one can say clean science, dirty reality. And about 1850, which is quite late, there was this orthodox or conventional medicine developed called cellular pathology at that time. And I will skip that term. I don't like conventional. I stick to the orthodox medicine as expression, and there you see other terms which are used. Interesting is the physiology and pathology. There are, of course, similarities and differences concerning humans, but the Orthodox medicine has a focus on the similarities, so to speak, a general average human. And the focus of the complementary side was more on focus on differences, individual patients treated. Back to the Orthodox medicine, this so-called evidence-based medicine, this term was created or popular since 1995 and is based on trials with many patients, so to speak. Every patient is a representative of the average patient. There are three components. I just look at my time. Yes. There are three components in evidence-based medicine, which are usually not taken into account. The first is the external clinical evidence from systematic research. We come to that later. But also the experiments of the clinician and the preferences of the patient. All these three components belong to that. But usually only the first component, which fits to the scientific view, is considered. And the gold standard to realize that, to give it into reality, was a placebo-controlled double-blind trials, randomized additionally. And this is the gold standard, or was the gold standard in Orthodox medicine. One has usually one size fits all, or here one drug fits all, corresponding to the average human. The clinical trials use usually just one drug for the patients, and usually it is only patients with one and the same disease are treated. But in practice and in treatment, it's just the other way around. Several medications are often used for a patient, which are also often multimorbid and old. So not just one drug and not just one disease. So again, you see what is the basis of the science, modern science, clean science, dirty reality. This can also be seen in the Orthodox medicine. So the gold standard yields good quality, but for an unrealistic situation. It has, I will skip that adverse effects and so on. That's not so important. Because I will come to the new transformation only 10 years after the invention of the evidence-based medicine. The Orthodox medicine has again changed, or is now changing, and it comes from the Human Genome Project, where one could see that the gene variants, gene defects have to do with risk to get specific diseases. So no longer there was an average human, but everyone has different genes, and so this mindset of Orthodox medicine is changing. There's emerging a new Orthodox medicine, and the level, I will also skip that, is now going from the genotype to the phenotype, not just the genes, but also other things like epigenetics and so on. And this new version of Orthodox medicine has several names. For instance, personalized, stratified precision medicine, or P4 medicine. I will come to that a little bit later, or systems medicine. And the average human is no longer in the center. The personalized medicine or stratified medicine means that, for instance, the patient stratification is important, and also the stratification of diseases. Interestingly enough, in complementary medicine, there is a natural stratification in these types, these human types, which are existent in almost all of these systems. And so this general mindset, new mindset that people are all different between complementary and Orthodox medicine, means that they come closer. And you see here 4 papers which are quite recent, And you see in the second paper the expression genomics, which is quite can often be found. So there's a bridge between Ayurveda, the Indian system, and genomics. So it is really an interesting development. The P4 medicine, I'm again looking on my watch, okay. P4 medicine, you see here what are these four Ps: predictive, preventive, personalized, and participatory. And you see that the complementary side on the right side is close to this P4 medicine, but far away from the evidence-based medicine up to now. Only the paternalistic way is different from P4 medicine. It is more like the old orthodox medicine. You see here the expression. And the participatory is people have their wearables, they have healthcare apps on their smartphones, and for instance, nutrition and fitness is more and more important. This fits to that new style, so to speak. But there are many data are created by all these variables and so on. And the question is how to handle them. And they are given over to the big tech companies. And so I'm afraid to say that the participatory phase will end soon because the companies will be in charge. In the systems medicine, the importance of connections within the body, which is quite new in orthodox medicine, and this is so relevant. And one example is the so-called oculomics, or sometimes called oculomics, is that the connection with retina and the rest of the body is so tight that one has found by artificial intelligence methods that there are patterns and relationships here and in other cases that are otherwise remain hidden. So if one looks at the retinal image, one sees, for instance, if the people has a cardiovascular disease, is dement, or has a chronic kidney disease, for instance. On the other hand, these artificial intelligence programs are like a black box. It cannot be explained how the programs find the result. There are two literature to possibilities to see what the artificial intelligence plays quite some role, more important role. And this is also not far away from complementary medicine. We think of pulse diagnosis. It's very complex, and the physician cannot really explain, but he sees and he feels what is the case with a person. So I think this is something where they both come also closer. And I will skip that. It is some examples what is the artificial intelligence, machine learning, pattern recognition, and the whole big data stuff is coming up. And this is a difference between the complementary and the personalized medicine. In CAM, much collective and individual experiments. It is done over hundreds of years by many people, physicians, and one has to learn, for instance, pulse diagnosis for years or decades. And so this is collective and individual. On the personalized medicine with the big data and artificial intelligence, this is very new. This is very quick, the development, and it is in a way, this is complementary to this CAM way. So this is not the same, but on the other hand, yes, that's my last.
You have 1 minute left, please.
Yeah, that's okay. And the question is, can both sides together? The role of the gold standard has to be reconsidered. It's no gold standard anymore because it does not fit to the new thing. And there is one paper where, for instance, where it is shown, and that the adapting of the RCT for precision medicine. So I hope that there's a good, or I think it's a good chance that they both complementary and orthodox medicine come together. And so in the end, I will ask you if you have questions or comments. You're invited to write me an email to discuss further. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kratky, for your presentation.